Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Hello and thanks for joining your favorite program on TV, Corporate Governance Platform. The program is proudly brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals. And this is our very first episode in the year 2023. We like to say Happy New Year to all our viewers. I'm Dr. Tunde Odeyemi, and in our conversation this evening, we are going to be focusing on the roles of external auditors in corporate governance. And to lead in the conversation is a very distinguished fellow of ICSAN, a member of the Governing Council of the Institute, and the Honorary Treasurer of ICSAN, Mr. Francis OLAWALE. Mr. OLAWALE is a governance expert, compliance and business development practitioner. He is an accountant, investment analyst, and an authorized dealing clerk of the Nigerian Exchange Group. He is an International Labour Organization trainer, an ISO 9001-2015 certified lead auditor and consultant. He is also an International Finance Corporation trained corporate governance practitioner and board evaluator. He has a strong passion for quality leadership, governance, administration, strategy, business process and improvement, and business management. He trains in different functional areas of business operations. In his decades of experience, he has functioned in internal control, internal audit, finance and accounts, treasury, operations, relationship management, secretarial unit, strategy unit across sectors such as real estate, haulage, transport, consulting firms, audit firms, and banking before delving into private practice. He currently serves on the boards of Knights Recovery Limited, Christian and Casting Limited, F&G Realities Limited, and DCMS Limited. He is a Governing Council member of ICSAN, where he serves as the Honorary Treasurer. He also chairs the Governance Practice Committee of the Institute and serves as the Vice Chairman of the Finance and General Purpose Committee. Mr. Francis OLAWALE is the founding partner of Franks Management Consulting International, a management consulting firm of over a decade, which involves in financial advisory, process engineering, business development, strategy formulation and implementation, and training services. He is also the principal Franks Nominees, a governance, compliance, and business support firm that is registered in Nigeria and in Ghana. Mr. Francis OLAWALE, it's always a pleasure to have you on Corporate Governance Platform.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, viewers. It's my pleasure to be here as well.
I also want to say a very Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to our viewers.
Okay, we want to have a conversation on something that I would describe as a pillar of corporate governance, which is the role of external auditors in corporate governance. Let's start this conversation by knowing what are the roles and the functions of external auditors.
Okay. First of all, it's around that time. I mean, it's end of year.
Exactly.
This is the beginning of another year. It's around that time that we'll be engaging auditors. So it's very timeless of you, to have brought up this topic at this time. So to talk about the roles of external auditors, the external auditors come to play, like a checkmating role. And then the process that leads to their functions and their roles, right, starts, from within the company. And this is what I mean. A section of CAMA, I think 374 CAMA 2020 now,
okay,
mandates that every company should maintain accounting records. And then further, 377 of CAMA also mandates, that directors, should prepare financial statements, for the company. Now, so the financial statement is like the financial stewardship report, of the company as to how they have managed, the financial resources of stakeholders at large. So this is expected to be, done with all sense of probity and accuracy. So having done that, it's supposed to be a stewardship report, to the stakeholders at large. So what the external auditors do basically is to affirm, to certify, to confirm the credibility and the accuracy of the financial statement that has been prepared by the directors as mandated, by CAMA and other acts within the legal framework. So that's a function of the external auditor, to examine the books, to check what the directors are presenting to stakeholders as stewardship report. So the external auditor checks it vis-a-vis what has transpired and what has been presented. They review it and then express an opinion. Okay, so that is what they do in terms of duties, in terms of task. Then what then, is the role of that process? What then is the role of that their function? It helps to give assurance, to stakeholders, because they are rendering an opinion, and then the opinion that they render is of two dimensions. They are rendering an opinion as to whether the financial statement that has been prepared gives a true and fair view, of the financial position of the company as at that period, of time, and then the performance, for the year. They want to give an opinion which will be relied upon by stakeholders, at large. So they are rendering an opinion as to whether the financial statement being presented gives a true and fair view, of the financial position and then of the financial performance for the year under review. Then the second dimension of, the opinion is that they want to confirm whether the financial statement has been prepared, in line with the prevailing laws, with the prevailing, statutes. Of course, in our own instance, you talk about the Financial Reporting Council of Nigerian Act 2011. It's being reviewed now. You talk about CAMA, then you talk about the IFRS, International, Financial Reporting Standards. So to affirm whether the financial statements give a true and fair view of what has transpired as presented in the financial statement, and then to confirm compliance, with stipulated statutes.
Wonderful. The very first one that you mentioned actually got me thinking that the external auditors are meant to assure the stakeholders and to give a true and fair view. I'll still come back to the issue of true and fair view. And like you said, it's an opportunity for viewers out there, especially when most organizations will be going into the process of auditing their financial details now. So if you are out there and you want to be part of this show, you can send an SMS to us by either asking question or making a comment. Send your SMS to 080-2323-1287. I take the number again. SMS only, please, to 080-2323-1287. I'm sure the number is on the screen of your television set. Mr. Francis Olawale is there dealing on the issues that borders on the roles of external auditors. I'm sure he will answer all your questions. Now, before I get to the true and fair view of the external auditor's role, what is the link between the functions of external auditors and that of risk management?
Okay, the link, between them, like I said earlier, I told you that the, 377 CAMA mandates, director gives a responsibility. The directors have a fiduciary duty. Fiduciary duty basically, to create and preserve value for stakeholders at large. Now, risk management, from an internal point of view, right, tries to ensure that it identifies, the events that could impair the achievement of that strategic imperative, which is to create and preserve value, on the long-term basis for stakeholders, at large. So that's what risk management, focuses, on. And then on the part of external audit, the external audit, tries to ensure that the value created as presented, because when I was defining earlier, I said it gives an opinion as to the true and fairness of the financial position and financial performance. That met together, those, are components of value creation for stakeholders. So the external, auditor rechecks, reaffirm to ensure that these values are actually being created and being preserved, not only from the perspective of what the directors have claimed, but conducting, certain exercise to ensure that those values are really being created and they are being preserved. So you can see the nexus between them, from the two sides, the risk management from internal perspective, the external, auditor, from an external perspective,
okay,
all meet at that point of ensuring that, the value, claimed to have been created, have actually been created and are being, preserved, all geared towards something, sustainability, of the entity,
of the organization. Okay, I want to look at the integrity of the financial statement. How does external auditor, in specific terms, ensure the integrity of the financial statement?
Okay, so I'll look at that in two ways. They perform tests. Now, they use certain tools. Okay, so the kind of tools they could use, they could use tools of inquiry, observation, examination. So those are tools available for the external auditors. Now, what are the tests, that they conduct to ensure that integrity? One is risk assessment. So you could see,
okay, there's a link now to risk management.
Okay. So one is they do risk assessment. Another one is that they conduct tests on the controls, existing controls, within the organization, and then they also conduct what professional auditors, call substantive procedures. A combination of all these risk assessments, test of control, substantive procedures, are all geared, towards checking controls, reconciling balances, checking, balances, rechecking transactions as to their accuracies, checking journals, so all of these procedures using any of those tools I've said earlier, either through inquiry, the external auditors ask questions, they meet stakeholders, internal stakeholders, the people who have been involved in preparing the accounts, the people who have been involved, in operations. They do secularization, with banks, which are a form of stakeholders, as well. All of these are methodologies that the external auditor, applies to ensure that what has been presented in the financial statement is actually, accurate. So they check, they test.
And all these are geared towards ensuring the sustainability of the integrity
to ensure that
of the financial statement.
Yes.
Then what then is the difference between the functions of internal audit and external auditors?
Okay, they are complementary.
Okay.
Yes, I'll talk about their focus, but they are very complementary because when external auditors come, at the point of kickoff, there is usually, a pre-audit meeting, where various stakeholders and all of that. And when they do their document requests for their own review, part of what they will request, will be the reports of internal auditors. So that's the reason why I said they are complementary. But having said that, let's look at the slight distinctions, between them. So the internal audit basically is a function commissioned by the board to ascertain existence of control within the system. Looking at the governance hierarchy, the rank and file of the organization, you have the management who are involved in the day-to-day running, of the business. So the board, also to be assured of effectiveness, to be assured also being the primary agents of shareholders. When I was referring to CAMA earlier, you realize that CAMA says, okay, the company should maintain accounting records, and then that 377 says directors, should. The question would be, are directors available on a daily basis? Management does that for them. Okay. So directors as well need to be assured, that in everyday conduct of transactions that are consummated on a daily basis, there are controls. Not only that these controls, exist, these controls are effective at curbing and preventing frauds and errors. So internal audit basically, does that. So it is commissioned by the board to give them assurance that there is control, and then the control is effective. On the other hand, external audit is an assurance, to the external, to the global stakeholders, fine among which are the shareholders. And that's the reason why CAMA, the Statutory Audit Committee, of PLCs, CAMA mandates, that the composition is a combination of directors, and representatives of shareholders. So the auditors are on behalf of, the shareholders checking the books. Like I said, to lend credibility, to the financial reporting system. The financial reporting system, the financial reporting mechanism of the company produces the financial statements, right? And within running the company, from the perspective of running the company, the directors are the apex. Meanwhile, the people with the highest controlling stick, as far as the company is concerned, are actually the shareholders, the owners. So the owners and the shareholders, the owners, they also need to be assured that, look, directors, and then as the authority cascades down, what you guys are doing is in our best.
Okay, Mr. Olawale, I like the way you gave a comprehensive link between the internal audit and the external audit functions. And what I can take from that is that their roles are actually complementary. Now I want to go back
despite their different
functions.
Yes.
Okay. Earlier you said something about true and fair view of financial statements. I want you to tell us, what do we mean when we say that the audit report reflects true and fair view of the financial statements of an organization, and what is the relevance of this phrase to corporate governance?
Okay, so simply put, true and fair view, in my words, I would say it is proper representation.
Okay.
Accurate representation of what has transpired in consideration or in sensitivity to the users of those views. So in other words, if I know that a lot of people are relying on my words, then I got to be responsible. A lot of people are going to be making decisions. Investors are going to be making decisions. Shareholders are going to be making decisions. Regulators are going to be relying on my view. So what it means is that view, as much as possible, should be proper, should be accurate, in consideration or with due consideration to the people that will rely on that view. And of what use is it in corporate governance? Like I said, earlier, it gives, comfort. It gives assurance, to the stakeholders of that entity at large. Let me quickly, veer a little bit. Once upon a time, certain classes of company, the Corporate Affairs Commission never used to mandate certified audited accounts. But at some point in time, right, the CSA required that. So the moment you are filing and an auditor has certified it, then the CSA could relax. They are part of the stakeholders, who rely. So when you know that even regulators, investors, shareholders are going to be relying on that view, responsibility, duty builds on you to ensure that whatever you are presenting, whatever opinion you are expressing, actually captures at near perfection of what has transpired. So like I said, it is proper representation with due consideration to the people that will rely on that view.
Okay, it's proper representation, either negative or positive.
Yes. The idea is that it is what it is.
Okay.
You as an auditor, whatever the situation is what you report. You understand? So I like the dimension you brought to it, that it could be negative. So if the company has done bad, you say it as it is, that the company has done bad, so that the decision makers or the people who want to rely or who want to have dealings with the company know exactly what they are walking into. And if the company has performed excellently, well, you report it like that. And that's why I said proper representation, accurate representation. If it is good, say it is good. If it is bad, say it is bad.
Okay, the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018 provides that the recommendation for the appointment, reappointment, and removal of external auditors has to be through the committee of the board that is responsible for audit. Why do you think this provision is there? And what is the essence of the provision?
Well, the essence, you see, everything, all of that provision, a lot of the things we are talking about will still be geared, towards protecting the interest of these stakeholders. Now, going back to your question, the same Code of Corporate Governance mandates and stipulates the composition of the audit committee. And among other provisions, it mandates that the people who be members of the audit committee should be people, with relevant financial literacy. So they should have recent and relevant, financial experience. Who else to mandate to watch over a financial expert than a financial expert? Do you understand? But the purpose of it, the intention of it, is to ensure quality, to ensure that you engage the right auditors with the right quality, with the relevant experience, with the relevant skills, and auditors that can be assessed to produce the relevant and appropriate outcome after the audit. So because that is the end point, you want good quality, you want good outcomes, and you will need capable hands who are in a position to ascertain, who are in a position to see through, who are in a position to assess the proposed auditors, so that you have the right people on board, and then you can have the right outcome after the various audit exercises.
Okay, I'm still on the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance, and I want to know, and I think our viewers would also like to know, the rationale behind the provisions of the code that says an external auditor may not be retained for more than 10 years of providing services to the organization. And another aspect of that provision is that says that if that external auditor should come back again, must have gone for about 7 years before coming.
10 years.
10 years, okay. Yes. I think the code says that 10 years of continuous provision, and 7 years of cooling.
Okay, cooling
before
off.
You can come back as an external auditor. If the auditor is so good, like you have said, appointment of the audit committee has criteria, and it must be people that are learned in financial literacy.
Yes.
Now, knowing that, and they have appointed a sound external auditor, why not allow them to run continuously as they want, or they are servicing the organization? Why give them 10 years continuous service, then you ask them to break?
Okay, so I said earlier, quality, right? And then when you're looking at the fullness of quality, you'll be looking at competence and character. In other words, even when you're talking about duties of directors, you're looking at the moral and the skill aspect, fiduciary duties, duty of skills and care. All of these, aggregate, in considering who you put at the helms of affairs. Now, for the auditors, irrespective of your level of competence, there's still a need for constant unbiased in discharging your duties. You could be very sound, you could be good, but your morality, we are without decimating our environment. Part of what we've all, as a nation, have been battling with is the issue of corruption. Intelligence and capacity is commonplace in our nation. It's just honesty of heart, sincerity of purpose. So that's where the morality comes from. So, for an auditor, for the audit exercise to continue to be smooth and to achieve the desired quality outcome, like I said, there's got to be constant competence, isn't it? And then the morality. Now, certain things could impair. The auditor is expected to discharge his duties, dispassionately, with unbiased. I mean, when I was talking about true and fair, say it as it is. Now, when there are certain threats to that unbiased expectation of the auditor. One of them, among others, is familiarity.
Okay.
You could get so familiar with somebody that even when the person, has done something wrong, you don't want to say it, that he's done something wrong, just because of that emotional attachment, that familiarity, between you. So in order to constantly preserve independence, which is a state of unbiased, and dispassionate disposition, to the exercise. I mean, it's a human beings. We are social. I don't want to say social animals. We are social creatures. We thrive by relationship. It's normal. Nobody judges anybody. I mean, after some times I get to know you. Connection comes with it. So to prevent that possibility, because when we get too attached to ourselves, it could blur my objectivity, despite my competence. So the whole idea is to prevent familiarity, all in a bid to preserve independence of the exercise.
And it's probably familiar to also ensure the integrity that we talked about
initially. The integrity we talked about.
Okay, as an ICSAN man,
yes,
I see you as an ICSAN man. You are a fellow of ICSAN. Corporate, you are in the governing council, yes, and you are the honorary treasurer.
Well said. Without without prejudice to all my other affiliations. Yes, I'm an ICSAN man.
Okay. Now, ICSAN as a champion of corporate governance.
Yes.
Will you say that the provision of the corporate governance code, as in relation to external audit functions, is adequate and conforms to the best practice?
Okay, well, the provisions, for external auditors, yes. If you compare it, I mean, ensuring quality, of auditors that are engaged, ensuring independence, all those provisions, are contained in the NCCJ. So I would say those provisions, are adequate, to ensure, that quality audits, is carried out, and then quality results are achieved. Those provisions could be likened, if you look at codes around, the world, the Australian code, the PRIDA code in Italy, the King's Code and all of that. All these provisions are just, similar to those provisions, UK code and all of that. So those provisions are okay. Okay,
and lastly, in less than 30 seconds, I want you to advise companies, corporate organizations out there on external audit functions. Then we'll wrap it up.
Okay, external audit functions, to companies out there, never ever compromise quality, never ever compromise the independence, of the auditor, never ever compromise the resourcefulness and the capacity of the external auditor when you're engaging.
Never compromise the objectivity, resourcefulness, and the capacity of the auditor. Can small companies that are not PLC also engage external auditors? Yes,
definitely.
No?
Yes.
Yes or no? Okay. Thank you very much for being part of the show. This is where we're going to draw the curtains on the very first episode of Corporate Governance Platform. And we'd like to thank Mr. Francis OLAWALE for doing justice to that particular topic, the roles of external auditors in corporate governance. We'd like to invite you to join us again, same time, same station, next week. And on behalf of my producer, Boyega Labiron, and the technical director, Adepoju David, and of course the camera crew, I'd like to say thank you. I remain your host, Tunde Odeyemi. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.